Good afternoon, YTPC. How you all doing? Getting a little bit of warmth and sunshine here. It's lovely. Some more flowers are starting to bloom. Very pleased to say my grass on the lawn is 95% recovered with my intensive reseeding and stripping out all that moss. Let me show you. It's actually a beautiful green at the moment. It's that sort of fresh spring green that normally is kind of over earlier in May, but because we've had such cool weather, everything is see, just at the far end I've got a few patches to fix up. And some of the trees have just come out with some of their blooms, which is lovely. It's very intensively green. That's the advantage of cooler, wet weather. But the next few days it's going to be warmer and sunnier, which is most welcome. Just listening to a bit of the radio here. It's got a composer look. So Sandro Fazzolari, you know Look. He was the successor to Mozart in the court of Vienna back then. Very pleasant to listen to. Doesn't actually have that how can you say, progression of harmony that Mozart had. Mozart I regard as the kind of party dancing music, jollity and gaiety and theatre of the time, of course. And I think Kozuluk is more, he was a Czech composer by the way, much more sit and listen to the music, you know, for what it is. My pipe, in this improved light with sunshine, you see the grain on this Vauen half churchwarden pipe that I bought a while ago when visiting Kreuzlingen with John Panzer. And I just like these half churchwarden pipes. They're not so awkward if you know, they're not so huge, they're difficult to take with you or whatever. And just about the right length for me. And smokes of course exquisitely well. It's a Vauen pipe, and I just love to smoke with this pipe because of course it cools a little bit more. 9mm. Tamper is Tamper Tantrum, good YTPC colleague of ours, of course, who does these beautiful carvings. Lovely wooden tamper there. And I broke out my little oyster, well that's a seashell. I think it's maybe like an oyster shell, but it's on the coast of Brittany. I picked a few of these up, put a little pad on, you know, and that's my ashtray for today. And in this pipe I'm smoking some Sir Walter Raleigh Aromatic, and it's still up there in my top 5 tobaccos, maybe even my top 3. You know, my first love. It is just beautiful tobacco. They still make tubs of it. I advise all of you to get a tub before they stop making it, or they relocate it, as they did with Carter Hall. Was tempted to get another tub. I was in time with smoking pipes, but I listened to the review of a good YTPC colleague there who compared the new tubs to, so from Virginia where they were made to now the Dominican Republic, and I think the verdict was it's close, but it's not as strong in its flavour than the original Virginia version. That might be a little bit to do with aging, or I don't know. Be interested to hear from any of you that bought some of those new tubs what you think about them. I've got one in the cellar and I didn't want to be greedy. I thought, you know, and I've got a lot of tobacco already, so I said, you can't have everything, Lester. And if I would stock up on one codger blend, which I have done, it's this one. 3 tubs I have in the cellar. Well, you may have noticed I've got my tins in front, and you have seen several of these before, but there are 2 new ones here and a couple on the way. Did you spot the 2 new ones? Bond Street, beautiful. Philip Morris tobacco tin, probably offered by a Bond Street tobacconist back in the, looking at those clothes of the ladies, early 60s maybe, I don't know. And the other new one, I got this, that was on eBay, and there's an eBay version, 2 eBay platforms in Switzerland. One's called Tutti.ch and the other one's called Ricardo.ch, and Ricardo.ch I got this tin for 7 francs, it's about $8 of right way up Westminster, and I was very pleased with this one because it's absolutely in perfect condition, well, almost perfect. That's about my positioning. I'm looking for something that's less than $10. The shipping will cost me about 7 or something like that in B Post Switzerland. So you know, I'm not a person that can pay $100 for an old tin. Can you spot the most expensive one of these tins? Some of you may have guessed it, and of course it's the one in the least good condition. So if you look at it like that, you think, why did he ever buy it? But the front is not too bad. This was the best I could find on eBay of Benson and Hedges Mellow Virginia. Live in peace with your pipe. Remember that? Wonderful advertising that they do. I just had to have one of those, and I do like, they still make this blend today. It's called Special Virginia, Benson and Hedges, and it is very good. And I've when I go to England again, I'll get some more pouches. I've got 3 or 4 that I've jarred up, and it is a very, very good blend, and close to my heart because of the beautiful advertising that they used to do back then. And of course it's a classic English tobacco from back then. Well, just to show you one of the new ones that I've ordered, was hoping these things would be here already today, but since they're not, at least I can show you. There's a tobacconist in Germany called Krusell in Bielefeld, I think it is, Maybe my German colleagues out there can tell me if they're still producing tobacco. They have a website, but I'm not sure if they still offer pipe tobacco. They're 300 years old, and there's a lot of beautiful tin art and plaques and tobacco tins that they made in their heyday. This is the one that I've bought, which hopefully will arrive, or at least I made an offer. I made a bid on Ricardo. With a bit of luck, no one else is interested. I think collecting tins is maybe not a Swiss thing, so I can get some things in Switzerland at reasonable prices that maybe in other places are much more expensive. I noticed that with pistols, you know, I can get very good old or antique pistols in very good condition. Mausers, for example, a lot of the Maus pistols, you know, the little 25 ACP, in very good condition for, you know, $100 to $200, somewhere like that. And I've noticed in the American market they sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they cost quite a bit more. And so it is with maybe tobacco tins. This is one example, pretty good condition. It cost me 7 francs, about $8, as I said. The other thing I bought is a plaque, and given what I've said about this tobacco, Sir Walter Raleigh, who I do so admire, I found a plaque with very much this picture here, which I bought off eBay, looking like this, and I'm going to put that in the Shed of Serenity, otherwise known as the TARDIS. You can actually get those plaques from eBay. Of course they're reproductions, you know, in many cases, but I saw you can get them from Walmart if anyone's interested. Walmart.com has such things. Amazing, but they don't export, so I had to find another source to buy one. As we were talking about the composers here and Mozart, there's a fantastic, in the 80s, production of Mozart in a kind of mini-series, which was on ARD, one of the main German channels, and they are still, you can still buy CDs of that series. And there's a great actor called Christoph Banzer, which I thought he did, I really think was the best portrayal as a mini-series of Mozart and his life and his tragic end, of course, with a great selection of those rich choice of character actors in German theatre and television and film in the early 80s. There's a picture of young Mozart with his father, and it's absolutely beautifully done. It's in German, so of course eher für meine deutsche und Schweizer und österreichische Pfeifenfreunden draußen, aber wenn Sie die Chance haben, diesen CD zu kaufen, das rate ich Ihnen. As much as I do love the film Amadeus, of course it was more, let's say, sensationalist and extrovert, if you like. Very entertaining, brilliant film, won its Oscars, of course, but maybe a little closer to the reality was this series. I do think it was fantastically done. Forgot to mention this little fella, an owl lighter, and it is a Zippo, a real Zippo. beautifully painted on, if you like, this lovely little owl with the moon behind him. Good lighter for Halloween perhaps, or when I'm smoking my owl pipe. Got a good deal on that. It was only about 25 francs, something like that. Well, before I close on this little short video, I should mention I may be a little erratic in the next month, especially going into June, because I'm coming under the knife, you know. I had a sort of minor hernia, nothing serious, but it should be repaired with one of those patches that they put on, and that's a sort of a hospital job. And before I go in for that, I'm going to have to heavily reduce my smoking, because as we learned from Spurgeon Piper's interview with a surgeon, he said if you're going in for an operation because of the blood clotting issues and so forth with nicotine, it's best to, you know, lay off it about a month before. So I learned something very much at the appropriate time. Sometimes I think that's a message from above, so I will do accordingly. In the next week or so I will practically stop, and I may squeeze in a video about another topic, perhaps on pistols, because I'd like to start target shooting again at the range, and haven't done that for ages because of COVID. We are opening up in Switzerland slowly, step for step. Really looking forward to going to some restaurants again. That's going to be fantastic. And I actually had my first shot, so I'm feeling a lot more secure. The next one I'll get around mid-June, and then I should be almost safe, you know, 90% safe, let's say. So don't worry if you think, where's he gone, you know. I'll mention it again in the next video to make sure everybody knows I haven't disappeared or fallen off a cliff or gone mad or something, or been locked up by the police, or you know, or shot by YouTube or whatever. It's just those things in life that sometimes diverts you into another area of priority, and health is number one. I have been avoiding lifting heavy objects under 5 kilos for that reason, but I can't expect my poor wife to keep doing that forever, and it's best if you've got a hole in the roof or a hole in your muscles or something like that to get it sorted with the doctors in short time, you know. Just like a house, a long life is with the body also keep your repairs up, you know. Right, my dears, that's this little video, and like I said, there may be a bit more like a 1 or 2 week tempo in the next time, but I will keep at it slowly, and after July, you know, things should come back to the normal tempo of 1 or 2 a week, something like that. Drinking some nice iced tea, zero, so no sugar. And actually, at first I didn't like this green tea drink, and it's actually now almost my favourite, because it's not quite as sweet as the others, and probably got a slightly healthier ingredient. And with that, I say cheerio, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in a week or two. Take care then. Bye bye.